Quilting is the process of joining a minimum of 3 layers of fabric together through hand or machine stitching, or with using the specialised long arm quilting system. There tends to be a top, i.e. the quilt top, a middle, which is the padding or insulation, which we would call wadding, and the backing fabric. And quilting, the earliest piece of quilted cloth dates back to 3400 BC, the ancient Egyptian First Dynasty. So there's lots of history involved. As with there being a variety of different ways to quilt, there are also lots of different equipment that you might need. If you're hand quilting, we've mentioned briefly on the WhatsApp group that the hand quilting thread is fine but strong cotton. It's wax, which adds to the strength and the fact that it doesn't tangle. But you could also use the polyester thread and use beeswax bars and just move the thread through the wax as you're going to sew. So there are ways and means of adapting what you've got to the task in hand. There are lots of techniques for machine quilting. I use contour quilting in particular, which is a form of outline quilting. I quilt 1/4 inch on one side of the seam lines. You can quilt on 1/4 inch on both sides, but I just find there's too much stitching going along, and it takes it away from the block itself. You can quilt in the ditch, which is when you quilt directly in the seam line. This is a little bit fiddly, but as long as you go nice and slowly, you shouldn't have any problems with that. Shadow quilting, this is when you quilt around the shapes and the negative space. When you get to the April block, this is what we'll be doing then. There'll be some simple grid lines, which is called cross hatching, which can be in squares or at angles. And they can be drawn onto the fabric, or you can use a quilting bar. And there's some free motion quilting, which we will dip into at some stage during the next few months. This is when the feed dogs are down and you move the fabric evenly to maintain consistent stitch length. All different methods, really it's personal choice. And what you need to do is have a go at a lot of different techniques and pick the ones that you prefer and the outcomes that you like the most. Okay, this is a spray-based 505 temporary spray. Do half at a time. This is the backing that I'm attaching. Smooth it down, then flip top bit down and see where you've sprayed to. Again, give it a good spray and spray it, wadding, and again flatten this out. And that's got a temporary hold. I've already done the front, and now I'm ready to do the quilting. Push the needle in, flick it up, and take it out of the fabric. The idea is to keep the material as flat on the board as possible so that there's no distortion with the wadding in the middle. Block 1 has been quilted using contour quilting. This is a form of outline quilting where you quilt 1/4 inch on either side of all the seam lines. But in my case, I've only quilted on the inside of the sewn lines. You can see the front, and each block has individual quilting elements, and you can see the reverse, which just shows a really symmetrical amount of quilting, which is always good. This video clip shows the advanced sampler quilt that we made at Fabric Corner. It was quilted as you go, and each of the blocks were individually quilted and then joined together with sashings on the front and the back, and we'll go through all of this with you. Once you've had a go at Quilt As You Go, I don't think you'll ever look back. Stay safe, keep sewing, and see you soon.